And what's important for us to know is that it still is the level 1 map. Now it's going to look differently. Like you're not going to see the Pirate Tales map. We're going to be on a whole different adventure, but everything is built off of this foundation. So in the level 2, we're going to go deeper into areas of the stepping stones that we really just touched on in level 1. So we're going to do much more with our player personas, and we're going to create real life player personas. We're going to dig deeper into the concept of objectives and key results, and we'll design those key results. We'll also explore, hey, Greg Driver, glad you made it. Glad you're here. We'll also explore more in the play testing and prototyping, and we'll get to a low resolution prototype that we will put in other people's hands and get play test feedback from them. So we won't, again, be using this map, but every one of these 30 stepping stones will be going through it again. It just will look differently. In this map, we'll be bringing on with us Lou and Lindsay, and they are young gamification designers. But if you remember Nick from the first level, he deployed a wellness program and he had some good success with it, but then saw people start to fall off. So he cycled back to Sententia and asked, can you do an audit of this? What did we miss? And so Lou and Lindsay have stepped up to evaluate Nick's program for him and tell him some areas that he might consider doing differently to have greater engagement. So they actually begin this world exploration into the realm of gamification design. And today we're starting up here in this top left in North America with Urban Commander, and this is getting us on board. We'll be working with guilds in this level. So I'll be putting you onto guilds. We'll have probably 3 groups, 3 guilds. And you're all still designing your own program. You're still all responsible for your own program. Your guild is there as allies, as people to bounce ideas off of and get opinions and feedbacks and how do you, have you ever, what would you use kind of interaction. So you've got a tribe that's with you as you work on this design. And so this is the basic, if we were going to give you an itinerary for travel, like we used to get in the olden days when things were more formal and you'd get a formal email with your itinerary mapped out step by step. But today we'll start with our segment 1, which is onboarding, and then we'll fly over to France and we'll look at why are we gamifying this program? What is it we're trying to achieve? Then we'll head down to South America for prototyping our players. We'll look at specific behaviors because we need to attach gamification as a trigger or feedback mechanism on those mechanics to these desired behaviors. Mechanics and dynamics, where we will explore, again, the use of narrative. And in the level 1 map, narrative had its own level. It was level 2, Dead Men Tell No Tales. And in actuality, narrative is a mechanic. So we wrap it into the mechanics section on this map. Then we're going to dig into how we create a player journey and mapping that out, getting to a prototype that we will play test and get feedback on, and also dig more deeply into the user experience and the whys of design. And a lot of that does depend on who you're designing for and what is the apparatus with which they'll be taking this program. So if I'm on my cell phone or a tablet, some of my interactions that I can design would be different than if they're on a laptop or a computer or desktop. So just as we think about the UX UI of taking it into a full deployment, which of course happens in level 3. We're a little all over the map with the times. Sorry, Tony, but you were the only one that voted for 4 o'clock. So I threw 1 4 o'clock in there for you. But but other than that, it was mostly the 8 and the 10. So We had to do one today because of our schedule on this end, but going forward, it rotates back and forth between the 8 and the 10 o'clock hours. And then our last Friday together in November is at 4 p.m. These are all Central Time. I'll be sending you out Zoom invites. I can't send you one. I can keep forwarding the link that you used today. I'll just keep forwarding that and put it into the new date and time. So the link you use today will be the link that you always use, but you'll get another Zoom invite to actually put it on your calendar. So I'll just keep forwarding that to you. So this is what we'll be covering together as we go through this journey, this global expedition. And of course, you know me, some of us, we've gotten quite a bit of opportunity to get to know each other. So excited that you're getting engaged in the Friday Night Game Garage. It's a ton of fun. And TechLearn asked me last week to do the closeout for TechLearn on Friday the 29th, which gives us this great opportunity to do this fantastic zombie escape experience that Ian has come up with. So it's gonna be super cool. I just got the graphic.
That night.
I got the graphic for it, and it's he's doing. I mean, like, we're pushing the boundaries. I don't even know if we can actually do it, but Ian's always promised me if I can dream it, he can develop it. So we're putting him to the test on that. But we have, of course, our Gamified Learning Academy, which we're still developing out. It's nowhere near what I want it to be. GamaCon started as a once a year event that's co-located with TechLearn. And we started it because there was a gap here in the United States for gamification conferences. Gabe Zickerman used to do one, but Gabe moved on to more into behavioral economics and design for that. And he's quit doing the gamification conference. And they have them in Turkey and India and Europe. I don't think you have anything in Australia yet, Greg. You'll need to get that started down there. But there was nothing happening in the States. So we approached our friends at Training Magazine, who we'd gotten to know over the years, and asked them about hosting the GamaCon, and they were all in. First discussion. So we've been co-locating it with TechLearn up until pandemic shutdown. And now we're up to doing it 3 times a year. So we do it with the Training Magazine's big training conference in February, which hopefully, fingers crossed, will be live in Orlando in February. We also do a completely virtual in the spring for 48 hours straight, going around the globe twice, so that we have speakers from all over the world speaking in their prime time. Everything's recorded, so you don't have to stay up for 48 hours straight. But then we'll also still be doing TechLearn, which this year is virtual. In November next year, we should be live in Austin. And then from there, we'll see. Like, is 3 GamaCons a year really a good idea? I don't know. Maybe it's a little too much, but it's been great for discovering gamification that's happening around the globe and the amazing work that's being done by people that we haven't met yet, which is exactly why we wanted to do it, because we knew there were a ton of great designers like yourselves out there who've learned gamification along the way and started implementing it in programs, and you're designing these beautiful, wonderful, effective programs, and we want to know about those and share them with the world also. That's just a little bit of who we are. You've also met Jonathan along the way. Yeah, we don't tell him everything, Tony. You're right. Just not necessary. Like, we don't intentionally maybe not tell him. We just, I guess it's learned behaviors. But I went back to me. Jonathan is our chief motivation officer. He's our chief writer. He handles all writing of marketing for because when we launch a program with a client, we help them to write a comms plan for deployment. So if they're deploying that internally, we help them to write that communication plan. If they're deploying it externally, we help them to write that, which would be a marketing plan for them. And Jonathan has a really strong background in that. So he brings all of that to the table. A lot of the videos and the design, Jonathan, this is pretty much Jonathan's baby, level 2. It's he pretty much did all of it. I might have done 1 or 2 videos and contributed in the concepts, but the most of it out there, level 2, is mostly Jonathan's baby. So I know you'll enjoy it. One of the things that I'm going to ask you to do, I'll send this out to you, and if you can start sending them back to me, if I can have them by Friday, that would be great. If not, over the weekend, because over the weekend I am going to put you onto a guild. And so I try to do that by time zones. Then we got people like Greg, who's out there in the middle of nowhere, half a globe away from us, literally the other side of the earth. And I don't know what's the best time zone to match Greg with, but Greg is always really flexible and is always showing up. I don't know when you sleep, Greg. When is it that you sleep? You're at Game Garage, you're here. What time is it right now?
It's just after 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, you got to do you got to do what you got to do, don't you?
Well, and I hear that from my friends and colleagues across the globe is, well, we've learned to flex our time, but there are, there's limitations, and we sure admire your tenacity for being here. So we'll put you on to a guild, and your guild should have fun together. Here's some examples of just different guild names that guilds have come up with in previous sessions. And they can create logos and all kinds of branding. But in the level 2, you still have the option from using your case study for wellness that you might have used in your level 1 design. And we would prefer that you really took it to a real life program, but it's not a requirement, because we've had people go all the way through level 3 and deploy a project for a not-for-profit or for a different entity because they still didn't have something that they were doing at work or in their real life scenario. So they've designed for somebody else to use the program. But so if you don't have a real life program, feel free to continue to use the wellness. If you do have something else, it'd be great for you to be spending your energy on that. The rules are a little bit elevated here for the level 2. We're requiring a bit more out of you. And the biggest requirement difference, the one that is the most significant, is that you do have to produce some kind of paper or like a 3D, cards and things like that, or it can be a video or a PowerPoint, or you can put it into an authoring tool. We're not expecting it to be a fully deployable program, and it's just like can be one section of your program, but we do want you to get to some form of a prototype that you will put into other people's hands, and you'll get playtester feedback from them. So that's not all the way till the very end. It's down in our 6th and 7th sessions. So we'll give you plenty of tools before you get there. You'll be using a travel journal that you'll get sections out at the platform that we use, which is called Kajabi. So we speak, it's like in acronyms, we speak in slang, and we'll say, you'll find that at Kajabi. And what that means is that that's the platform that you log into to access all your learning materials. So we've added a checklist. The checklist is there if you like to use a checklist to make sure you've got everything covered, because we've got all our learning outcomes. These are the tools that you'll find at the Kajabi platform. There's videos, there's documents, there's badges, and things on the right-hand column are things for you to do. So we found that it's helpful for people to have that checklist just to keep current with it. There's a lot of design tools out there. You may or may not use all of them in this level 2, but you're going to want them for the future. So I would save them into some kind of digital drive where you can access them in the future. Each week, each session, there'll be a main page of the travel journal that we'll be working off of. And see if I can zoom in here. This yellow box that's at the bottom, this is the yellow box that, like I'm telling you, Susan, this is going to be on the test, Susan. So this is the questions that you want to be answering before you come to class the next time. So, and the answer might very well be, I'm not there yet. I haven't thought that far. I'm glad you're asking me the question and I'll get it answered eventually, but right now it's too soon. I don't know yet. And that could very well be true for the onboarding process, because typically we design at the end and work backwards. So onboarding is the last thing we do, not the first. That's how I design. But you may not have this worked out. But any questions that are in this yellow box at the bottom of the lead page for each of your travel journals, it'll say segment 2, it'll have the title of the segment and the learning objectives. That box at the bottom are the questions that we'll discuss together in the next session. So like this one, we'll come back and review these together on Friday, this onboarding process. So take a look at those, see what you know the answer to, and be ready to discuss. So you'll find this again at the Kajabi platform. We are doing badges this time. You have a backpack that you can download. You can print it out if you want it and cut and paste real life badges on there, or you can just do it digitally. There's badges that you can just, place onto the backpack. And every time that we do something that is a mechanic along the way, you'll see the why of it. So we build it into the program. This is Lindsay. She's one of the characters in this narrative. And so we built in the why. This is part of the gamification. So it's like those roadside attractions. So this is a gamification attraction. Why we would include things like a backpack and badges. There's things that have to do with hormones, and there's also things that have to do with design. So it's always good to know the why of it. But you can create your own pattern. There's an open sandbox kind of backpack, and there's one where there's circles for those of us who are high order and would prefer to know, where is this badge supposed to go? So you'll be earning those along the way. You'll have these best practices. As we form our guilds, the guilds are designed to be a short-term group. They're not like your tribe for life, but they are there for a limited time, typically around a single purpose. And that is to help us with our level 2 design. Allies are the members of the guilds. They are part of helping you to achieve that greater cause. Again, the alliances are typically temporary, but it really does depend. There's a World of Warcraft guild that's been out there, I don't even know how many years now. It's fully developed. I should find the link and share it with you. It's gorgeous. Their graphics, their structure, their rules of engagement. The fully developed guild that's there for World of Warcraft. That's its whole reason for existence. So it's gone beyond the short term, but who knew World of Warcraft was going to be so big for so long, right? So these guilds and allies have a reason for being. These are just some examples of what guilds in the past have done. So this group, they were the Plutonium Dragons. Don't know how they came up with that, but that's all right. They do. This one was the Busy Bees. They were like literally all over the 4 corners of the United States, I guess. They worked together in real life. And so they called themselves the Busy Bees, and they made that nice little logo. This is purely optional. You can do that with your guild if you'd like to. Also, every week, I will include a surprise and delight. So surprise and delight is one of my favorite design components. And it's been a while, but if you think back to that Coke Zero video that we showed all the way back at level 1, the very first time together, you remember people walked up to a Coke machine. They said, release the inner bond in you. You've got 70 seconds to get up to the 6th level of this train platform to release that bond and win tickets. So some people accepted that challenge and took off running. And it was a completely physical, challenging quest that they were on. They're running, they're overturned orange carts and plates of glass in front of them, a lady with dogs on the escalator. When they got all the way to the very end, before they could get their tickets, like it took a total turn, and now it's like now you got to sing a song. So right, I've just exerted all this energy. I'm short of breath, and before I can get the final, there's this delightful little, and now for something completely different, sing a song to get your, and of course the people were there cheering, and the music's playing in the background to help them. But those kind of elements that are just unexpected, that just make people smile, are what is a surprise and delight mechanic. And you can experience these every day when you start looking for them just in life in general, like something that was above and beyond, or just, like when I look at images sometimes, it just makes me smile. It's just a delight. And this is one that was shared by one of our master craftsmen with us. And I find it truly delightful. So I don't know what all this is about, the URL, but the URL is Pirate Monkeyness. But it's an online pirate translator. I mean, someone has enough time in their day to have created a pirate translator. This is the kind of people that you think, wow, I bet you they still do a lot of real work, because it's usually people who are busy who get things done. But this is so cool because you can take any message you want and you type it in to that top box, copy and paste it, and then hit translate, and it translated into pirate. Since our whole narrative is based on Captain Nathaniel Wilson and his great grandson Nick, when I think it was Fiona Hironella, she's one of our master craftsmen, when she shared this with me, I have used this endlessly since then, because I don't think it gets much more delightful than somebody taking the time to create for me. How do you say in pirate? How do you say this in pirate, right? So I will include surprise and delights. This is my favorite design mechanic. So yes, it is definitely self-hugging. Yes, I am. And I think we don't include enough of these in our design. So I want us to keep them top of mind. All right. I've done a lot of talking. Let's see, how many people are on the call? I was going to say we could go into breakouts, but let's just share this together with us if you can. If you don't know the answer yet, that's okay, no pressure. But before Jonathan takes back the screen and takes us out to Kajabi and talks to us about Reed, I want to ask you, do you know what project you're designing for? And if you're going to do the wellness, or you want to do something that's real life, but maybe you still don't even know what that is. Let me just run down. I'm just going to go as I see you on the screen. So I see Tony, Susan, Sam, then Greg. So Tony, real life project. Jonathan, you can take the screen anytime you want to.
Yeah, so it's going to be on our laboratory inspection for our laboratory scientists that have to go in and look for different anomalies to make sure that it's safe.
Okay, so scientists are the ones who have to go in to verify that everything's being done correctly.
Right, and before they get into the labs, or if they're within a lab, they're supposed to do it within a certain time. So I'm going to get more on the personas or profiles, I should say, for what HR has, to make sure that I have all the right people.
So would they be following, like, the only thing analogy I can make is like how a pilot follows a checklist before. Mm-hmm. So it's the same kind of thing. There's certain things that they know to be looking for.
Correct. There's several things that they need, or more than several things that they go in once a month and inspect. And some things get missed and because they forget about them. And this is only once a year, so we want to try to make it fun for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, how would you remember once a year, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't have enough hard drive space to be storing that kind of once a year stuff. All right, that's good. Susan, what do you got?
Well, my primary use of what I learn in these two levels will be to help students in one of my courses learn content. And I have students particularly struggling in an HR course. So I'm initially thinking that what I will do is to help them to learn employment law, including discrimination law and affirmative action.
Wow. Why do you think they're struggling? Is this new for you? I mean,
well,
new to see them struggle is, I want to make, like, students in the past haven't struggled, or
No, they've struggled over the years. I just haven't been able. I have not gotten to the point where I can implement gamification to try to address it.
right.
And it's not just the content in the course. The textbook, it's a broad course. It's an introductory course, so the textbook doesn't go into a great amount of detail on the content. But in addition to that, it's the first time they encounter the particular type of assessment that they have in this course. There are two major types of assessments at the university, and this is the second course in their program. First time they've had to deal with this particular type of assessment. So they struggle with a lot of the content. And I'm just thinking that might be a good place to start.
So are they upper level students? Like, they've decided they're going into HR, so they're at least a junior, or?
Great question. No, well, they're MBA and Master of Science in Management and Leadership students. And so this is one course among a bunch of different topics. It's the only HR course in the program.
Interesting. So it's part of an MBA program.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. This is why I moved from my MBA program to a different program, Susan.
Well, we do have Master of Science.
HR. I didn't want to be doing employment law stuff. Yeah, no.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah. Some of us actually like that stuff, and I don't know.
I know. That's good. We need people like, yes, we absolutely need that. Absolutely. Okay. Very good. Cam, what do you got?
Okay, so I fall into the category of I don't have work, someone that I'm working for that I have a project to do at work because I'm consulting, and but I've been asked recently a lot about doing onboarding, so digital onboarding, and so I don't have a specific project yet, but I would like to start exploring that and design something for onboarding, employee onboarding. So that's what I want to focus on.
Very good. Well, a lot of organizations, and we don't know when it's going to go back, but they've had to move it totally online to do the onboarding. Yeah. So that's good. I'm wondering about the formula that you could use, that you could make it like people could, I'm going to say plug and play, but for the most part, could plug their information in, and you've got the skin on it. That it's good. Very interesting. Greg.
There's two things that I'm looking at. One is communication, a bit like what's name was saying, that there's a bit of a checklist of things that you do to communicate effectively, and the other side of it is maybe emotional stability. There's a few things on the checklist that it's important to be aware of to have emotional, not to get triggered by what's happening around you. And I want to take that to the workplace. So I haven't got a specific place at the moment, but that's what I'm moving towards. So yeah, because I did this, part of my history is I did this earlier in the year, but I was pretty raw and I've been attending the weekly sessions, and I've learned so much, and it's just changed my whole outlook on everything. So I'm sort of, instead of being here with a blank mind now, at least I've got a fair idea of where we're going and what my input needs to be. So thank you. Yeah, it's good.
Good. That's good to hear, Greg. I'm glad to hear that. Greg's like this. He's the kind that you'd want to have to face danger with, because Greg doesn't necessarily know how we're going to get out of it, but we know we are going to get out of it, right? So Greg just learns as he goes. He has this tenacity about him. So I'm delighted to hear. And both of those, I think, could be really good. Communication, nothing happens without communication, everything, right? And so that and the emotional stability, that whole emotional intelligence component, we don't develop any kind of leadership programs without including something with emotional intelligence. So I think both have a lot of validity and are needed everywhere, every organization, no matter what the organization does. So very cool. I love it. All right. Jonathan is going to show you the platform where all the information is held. And again, it's not, we don't call it, it's called Kajabi. And we use it for basically all of our newsletters, registrations. So it started as a rather basic CRM and basic coursework platform and has just grown leaps and bounds. There's if there were some good things that happened during the pandemic, it's how these online platforms have really beefed up their game. So Jonathan's going to show you he's going to take you on a walkabout on, is that the right term, Greg? Walkabout? No. On Kajabi. Go ahead.
Got us on mute. So it's and then those listening to the recording, if have your own business, reach out to me. I really like, it's called a CRM, customer relation management. So the back end of Kajabi is really strong as far as getting courses. So I got started with them during beta, so I have a pretty good price point. But so we sit level 2 on it for now. But even if we moved this over to Gamified Learning Academy level 2, which we may at some point, we still would keep Kajabi just for all of those issues. But so there's really nothing here that you would see that is, because you can see the URL. It's our URL/product/level 2 gamification certification. So we keep calling it Kajabi down here at the bottom because that's, like Monica's saying, that's where we go. So there's the template I used to set this up has some weird quirks, if you will. So each week we will be going through. So Urban Commander is what's open to you now, between now and Friday, and then everything else is locked down. I opened up this just as a demo, but then everything's locked down. And so since we're usually meeting in our morning slot is when I'll open up the next module for you as we move through. But here's the piece that, and you may forget this, feel comfortable reaching out, but if right now I'm on Urban Commander, if I scroll through, you see all the different things. There's different videos that you can read here. There's a video here, and you can see the downloads, possible downloads on the side. So for onboarding, there's a bunch of them here. You don't need to download the video because it's right here. But these things are what Monica was talking about, the checklist, the map, if you at least download it, travel journal with the About Me. So you'll want to download that, fill it out, and get it back to Monica, and so on. So, so when you scroll through, you can see how this works. But now, if on the other hand, if I come up here to the top and I go right to, let's go to onboarding itself. Now we have a different view, and you'll notice that on the right-hand side, there aren't any files for download. And so again, this is the quirk. So we have the comments from the folks who went through last time. So it'd be great for you to comment here. But if you click on details, now we can see that download, that file. Okay. So there's, like I said, this one, you can see the comments, but you have to click on details to be able to find the downloads, the files. So like I said, it depends on how you look at it. If I click on Urban Commander, I can see all the episodes, if you will, and all the files, but I can't see the comments anywhere. And if I click on the individual episode, now I can see the comments, but I have to click here to see the files. Right? So once you get in there and you start to play around with it, it'll start to make sense. But here at the beginning, it's a little quirky that way. The other thing is, especially since so many of you are listening to the recording of this, the other thing is that this is the only one that will be on YouTube. From now on, what I will do is I'll put it in the opening session for it. So this is the video of from last session. So you give me a little bit of time from when the program's over to because I have to download it from Zoom, and then if there's any quick edits to it, and then upload it again to here, and then save it. So there's a little bit of time there. So like today, for instance, I have a meeting right after this, and then a bunch of other stuff going on today. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get this edited and to get it up here. So if you ever click on this and you're like, oh, I don't recognize those people, or this sounds different, then you know you're watching last time's episode, and you may want to come back and get this time's episode. So yeah, it's like I said, just the main kind of quirk, and it's just because I chose this template, is that it depends on how you click on it, whether you can see this. But again, what we're talking about is onboarding, so enjoy the onboarding experience as you start to play around in here. I think that covers what I need to cover here. I think so, Monica, right?
Yeah,
And-
unless, I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead.
and I know you don't even know what questions you have about the Kajabi
Yeah.
platform yet, because you haven't had a
Feel
chance
free
to
to
play,
reach
but
out.
how do they get in, Jonathan? Do I need to send them a link? Do you
This
send
link
them a
right
link?
yeah, now I'm in categories, so it'd be this link here.
They have to have a login code? It's just their login.
Yeah, it's when you registered for something, you used a code.
All right. So I'll follow
you did
up
a
as soon as
login
we.
when you purchased it, because it's all tied together. So when you purchased even level 1, when you purchased level 1, you had a password associated with that.
So everyone should have it. I'll send out the link. If you have any trouble with the Kajabi platform, you can write to me, but I'm just going to forward it to Jonathan because he's really the one that is back in the inner workings of this. So Jonathan just pasted it out there, but I'll send it in an email to you also in case you're not going out there right away. And then you can access it 24/7. You can go out there and get the materials anytime you'd like. And again, I would recommend that you download a digital copy for yourself, because when we are leading a level 2, Jonathan does go and he locks down the other areas like Siberian Express, Forbidden Land, until we get to them, so that we're going through this journey together and staying together on it. So again, he can always unlock it for you, but it just saves you a lot of time if you just download and keep a digital copy. Questions that you have? Oh, go ahead. Tony?
Yeah, so, just real quick question, because I use Kajabi with another thing that I was going through for Beyond, and they have a mobile platform, and I didn't know if you were. I know you're not using it now, but do you see yourself using that? Because we can download stuff from there as well and see videos.
Yeah, I'll go look, see what this template's doing, if I need to convert it.
That's fun.
Like.
That's really fun, Jonathan.
That was pretty much all I had.
Yeah. I'll go look at it when we're wrapping up here. See what.
What's so funny when you're saying that, Tony, is I really see like, oh, that's really fun, because I'm always like, I want to be on my big monitor when I'm working out there, but also for watching videos, it could be great to have it on the phone. I like what you're saying a lot. That's good. Sam, you had your hand up?
No,
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was my hand on your face. Sorry. I just had my hand right there. How rude. Oh my God, that's so rude. I thought your hand was up. Meantime, I'm just like face planting at me. Oh, that's so terrible. All right. Good. Go ahead and get out there and play. Like Jonathan said, you cannot break it. So play around. If you have any struggles, bighead@Sententia Games. You can send it to me. You can also CC me, because I'll probably see it more quickly and say, hey, Jonathan, somebody's having some trouble out there. So feel free to include me in it. You want to show them the Reese?
Not sure how I would show it.
Well, you have a slide this next. Oh, You don't have a slide, I do.
On your deck?
Yeah.
Okay. So also we'll get out and take the Reese motivation profile, and the idea is so we can get a feel for where our blind spots are, where your blind spots are, and then to anticipate where you might be different from your learners. So so this is a typical one that's up here right now, that we will often see. Folks, what we will notice, for instance, that a lot of us, if not all of us, will be on the high side of curiosity. And then, of course, that means that we like to study, we like to learn, and our learners do not. So that's what we'll be looking at. So it's 128 questions. It should only take less than 20 minutes to go through it. And then the one thing I'm requesting, though, is that once you take it, let me know you took it, because I don't get an automatic email saying, hey, by the way, so-and-so just took the Reese. They did that it's because of, because it's people in the psychological community that put this together. And so they're worried about privacy issues and stuff like that. So there's not an automatic alert to me. So once you've taken it, just send me an email, and then we'll set up a 30-minute time slot to go over it. Typically that'd be over the phone, just because it's easier. Greg will do it over Zoom, but for the rest of us, probably I'll just do it over the phone. And we'll have to work out the scheduling of it. Next week I'm going to be at DevLearn. I speak on Wednesday, and then I have a book signing, and I speak at another event on Thursday, and I'll have a book signing Thursday afternoon. So, and then, so that anyway, a little bit of stuff going on. So, but we'll find a good time slot for all of us to go through it.
It really could go to the next week, which is the last week in October, because that's when we'll be getting to the creating personas.
Probably that week will make more sense.
But they can go ahead and we can get them taking it, and then they can schedule with you for that last week, I think.
Yeah, that probably makes more sense, because then it'll be more relevant to what we're covering. In the course itself.
So again, just make sure you have like 20 minutes on your schedule so you can take it. And Jonathan will get the results, which is a pretty nice little feedback report with what to do with it. And then he'll do 30 minutes with you to walk through it together. And
the point of that is because there's everything you need to know about you in the document that you get back. But what we do want to look at is who are our learners, and that's what we want. I mean, who are we, and then how could we anticipate with our learners? So when it comes to designing learning experiences, that's what we want to check on here. So we'll have fun with it.
Okay, good. So that's it. I'll send you these links. Level 2 is at a whole different level than the level 1. We calculate that for every hour we spend together here, you'll most likely need 2 hours offline working on your design. There's a lot more of you that has to go into it than in the level 1, which was, really designed as a 101, just a big overview. Here you actually get in and are starting to play with different components. Again, just like with the level 1, though, you can't fail this. As long as you submit a final project, we'll give you feedback on that, and we just keep learning and growing together. There's no way you might not earn your certification if you don't submit, but we certainly aren't failing you ever. It's all for growth and learning. So the other different component of this is that you do get 30 minutes with Jonathan to debrief the Reese profile. Also, after you submit your final project, Jonathan will schedule 30 minutes with you to review that with you, review the playtester feedback, talk about what you really liked, where you see your challenges are. So you'll have a second 30-minute conversation just to talk through. And I do some of those. It depends on the schedule here. So I can't say for sure it'll be Jonathan, but it'll be either Jonathan or myself that debriefs your project with you. And that's always fun for us to get into the nitty gritties of what you designed. So our goal is that you feel confident. And every time we design, we don't feel confident, right? Like every time I design, I'm thinking like, is this right? Are we doing it? Until we get it into playtesters' hands. So it doesn't mean that we're never going to not make a mistake or not need to iterate and change some things. And the more open we can be to that feedback, the better our designs will be. And it certainly doesn't mean that because somebody gives an idea, we have to change what we were thinking. And I want us to listen to our guild members. So as our guild members are giving us feedback, let's just, think through what they're saying. In what they're saying in their feedback, there's a kernel of truth in there at the very minimum that we should be listening to. So I'm not saying that, you would ever have to go back and totally revamp, but we want this to really be challenging to our mindset about design and just let ourselves be open to the growth of it. So this is my clan. I have all boys for some reason, but you might recognize some of them. So the guy on the far right, he's actually our Nick of our program, and that's my youngest son, Joe. He's mortified that I have created a character out of him. And then Lewis is the Lou and Lindsay of this trip of level 2. So Lou and Lindsay, they're actually married. Lindsay's my daughter-in-law. So again, totally mortified. These two would love to be in my programs, but I haven't found a place for them yet. But they are my play testers. My job with them is play. Grammy lets play. And we always have and we always will. Now, this is my middle son, whose name is actually Nick. And he would disown me if I put him into any of our learning programs. So you will never see a real life Nick anywhere, but I at least took his name. So what's really funny is they do look exactly alike. Not really, but people, like, they used to all work at the mall in high school, and no one, like, they'd walk in and be talking to Lou and call him, and they just started to go with it. So they're a pure delight. I have no girls at all yet, but I have a daughters-in-law, so that's good. So that's my clan. We want this to be challenging. We want us to be thinking about the whys. There is a page in your travel journal that's there to just be journaling your learning, to be thinking about how things felt along the way and challenges that you've run up against, and just to be thinking about the design process as well as doing the design, the hows and whys of it. And, it's a pure delight for me that, Greg, that you're learning at the Game Garage, because that's what we wanted it to be. Like, we wanted it to be a Friday night hangout where people have fun, but I learn something new every week. And it comes from the serious instructional designers out there because again, I've self-taught and went to classes, but pretty much dug in to learn any kind of adult learning instructional design principles. And there's some really pretty savvy instructional designers in our Game Garage every Friday. Some of you are on the call right now. So I'm delighted that you're learning as well as having fun playing while you're there. So that's really great to hear. Questions before we close out? Going forward, we'll just be on Fridays. We just do this first week 2 sessions because there's not much from here, but going forward there is a good solid 2 hours of design time outside of class. So we give you that full week so you can fit that in, plus coordinating with your guild. So if you could fill out, it's just that travel journal page that helps me to know where you are in the world. I know some people already, but the rest of you, just so as I put you into guilds, I really do try and coordinate time zones to make it easiest. It's not easy, but it's easier than if you're all in different time zones. Everything will be followed up in an email to you, and feel free to reach out to Jonathan and or I at any point. My phone number is always in the signature. My email's there. If you got a quick question, just reach out and we'll connect. Delighted to be going on this journey with you.